The day is over, a day of dreadful deeds and happenings. Darkness seems to cloak all the horror and injustice, suffering and death of this day. All is quiet, not at peace. For some, the events of the day hang over them like a cloud of darkness, and beneath it their minds are working, wondering, arguing, justifying. We turn to Caiaphas.
What a fortunate thing it is for Israel that I am high priest. If I hadn't been careful, we should have really been in trouble with that Jesus character. I was right to insist we get rid of him. I recall that very day in council when they told me Jesus has raised Lazarus from the dead.
John 11. Jesus, once more deeply moved, came to the tomb. It was a cave with a stone laid across the entrance. "Take away the stone," he said. "But Lord," said Martha, sister of the dead man, "by this time there is a bad odour, for he has been there 4 days." Then Jesus said, "Did I not tell you that if you believed, you would see the glory of God?" So they took away the stone. Then Jesus looked up and said, "Father, I thank you that you have heard me. I know that you always hear me, but I said this for the benefit of the people standing here, that they may believe that you have sent me." When he had said this, Jesus called in a loud voice, "Lazarus, come out!" The dead man came out, his hands and his feet wrapped with strips of linen and a cloth around his face. Jesus said to them, "Take off the grave clothes and let him go."
I had to tell them all that stuff about rising from the dead. Miracle. No, it's all a put-up job. I've seen these con men before. They never fooled me, I can tell you. The trouble was he had people convinced. Those Pharisees didn't know what to do. They were worried about people's reactions if we didn't arrest him, and yet more afraid of the Romans if he was left free.
Let him go on this way. Everyone will believe in him, and the Roman authorities will take action and destroy our temple and our nation.
What fools you are. Don't you realize it's better for you to let one man die for the people instead of having the whole nation destroyed? That told them I had to set in motion the whole thing. I was right to use all the craft and underhand means to get him on trial. And what a trial. Well, farce really. There was no way he could wriggle out of this one. We had a bit of trouble at first, but in the end, it was the man himself who signed his own death warrant. Have you no answer to give to these accusations? In the name of the living God, I now put you on oath. Tell us if you are the Messiah, the Son of God.
So you say. But I tell all of you, from this time on, you will see the Son of Man sitting on the right hand of the Almighty and coming on the clouds of heaven.
Blasphemy. We don't need any more witnesses. You've all just heard this blasphemy. What do you say? Yes, he's guilty. Yes, we had him. We couldn't get out of that. We condemned him. We got him killed. We were saved. I was right. It was his own fault. He asked for it, and I had to do something. I just wish those words of mine didn't keep going round in my mind. It is better for you to let one man die for the people.
One man for the people. One man for the people.
I was right. I know I was right.
Caiaphas sent Jesus on to Pilate. What were his thoughts?
I was right. It wasn't easy, but what is in this life? especially the life of a governor of an occupied country. And what a strange country and people these are, with all their religious fanaticism and legalism, petty and vindictive. That's what they are. They certainly had it in for that Nazarene fellow, Jesus. What could I do? It was that or risk a serious riot. I wash my hands of it all. Of course, there was a real problem. He's supposed to have done some amazing things that really stirred the crowd, like feeding 5,000 with 5 loaves and 2 fish. All a publicity stunt, I'm sure. Some people will believe anything. The real danger was their reaction.
Luke 9. When the apostles returned, they reported to Jesus what they had done. Then he took them with him, and they withdrew by themselves to a town called Bethsaida. But the crowds learnt about it and followed him. He welcomed them and spoke to them about the kingdom of God, and healed those who needed healing. Late in the afternoon, the 12 came to him and said, "Send the crowd away so that they can go into the surrounding villages and countryside and find food and lodging, because we are in a remote place here." He replied, "You give them something to eat." They answered, "We have only 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish. Unless we go and buy food for all this crowd." About 5,000 men were there. But he said to his disciples, "Make them sit down in groups of about 50 each." The disciples did so, and everybody sat down. Taking the 5 loaves and the 2 fish, and looking up to heaven, he gave thanks and broke them. Then he gave them to the disciples to set before the people. They all ate and were satisfied. And the disciples picked up 12 basketfuls of broken pieces that were left over.
He was a strange man. Why didn't he lead a revolution then? I don't know. He had every chance, but no. And even when he was here, standing before me, he wouldn't fight or argue or even try to defend himself. He was a danger to himself. Are you the king of the Jews?
Does this question come from you, or have others told you about me?
Do you think I'm a Jew? It was your own people and chief priests who handed you over to me. What have you done?
My kingdom does not belong to this world. If my kingdom belonged to this world, my followers would fight to keep me from being handed over to the Jewish authorities. No, my kingdom does not belong here.
Are you a king then?
You say that I am a king. I was born and came into the world for this one purpose, to speak the truth. Whoever belongs to the truth listens to me.
What is truth? He talked like that. I couldn't make him out. But when he spoke of kings and kingdoms, he became a threat to Rome. He became a threat to me. I suppose I could have let him go. But the chief priest, oh, he was a wily old devil.
The Pilate turns to Caiaphas.
I find no reason to condemn him.
Our law says that he ought to die because he claimed to be the Son of God.
That's your problem. You deal with him.
If you set him free, that means you're not the emperor's friend. Anyone who claims to be a king is a rebel against the emperor.
I was right to condemn him. Right to wash my hands of him. It was safer for everyone. Safer for me. I was right. I know I was right.
What's a man to do? I'm only a centurion in all this fuss and bother, just doing my duty. I expected my orders, just as I expect my men to tell them what I tell them. The bloke we hung up today knew that. He said it himself.
From Luke 7. When Jesus had finished saying all this, in the hearing of the people, he entered Capernaum. There, a centurion servant, whom his master valued highly, was sick and about to die. The centurion heard of Jesus and sent some elders of the Jews to him, asking him to come and heal his servant. When they came to Jesus, they pleaded earnestly with him, "This man deserves to have you do this, because he loves our nation and has built our synagogue." So Jesus went with them. He was not far from the house when the centurion sent friends to say to him, "Lord, don't trouble yourself, for I do not deserve to have you come under my roof. That is why I did not even consider myself worthy to come to you. But say the word, and my servant will be healed. For I myself am a man under authority, with soldiers under me. I tell this one, 'Go,' and he goes, and that one, 'Come,' and he comes. I say to my servant, 'Do this,' and he does it." When Jesus heard this, he was amazed at him, and turning to the crowd following him, he said, "I tell you, I have not found such great faith, even in Israel." Then the man who had been sick returned to the house and found the servant well.
I tell you, I have never found faith like this, not even in Israel.
Couldn't blame me, could he? I am only a man under orders too. They said to hang him and crucify him, I did. I didn't know what he'd done. Not for me to question, more than my job, or even my life's worth, to ask such a question. I got a wife and kids to think about. Mind you, there was something about him disturbed me a bit. Odd the way he looked at you. And the way he died. And some of those things he said.
Forgive them, Father, for they don't know what they are doing. My God, why have you forsaken me? Father, into your hands I place my spirit. It is finished.
I said to myself when he died, now there was a good man. Don't ask me why. All I know is that I was right to follow my orders. I was right. You can't fight the bosses. Do as they say. Keep your nose clean and you'll have an easy life. That's my philosophy. It's the only safe thing to do in this game. He on that cross should have learned that. He wouldn't be lying in a grave tonight if he'd learned to look after number one. I know I was right.
So remember Judas?
It was your own fault, Jesus. You said you were a king. I wanted you to be king, not a puppet dancing to their tune. I was right. I know I was. You had to take action. I knew you could do it if you wanted. Look what happened in the temple.
John 2. When it was almost time for the Jewish Passover, Jesus went to Jerusalem. In the temple courts, he found men selling cattle, sheep, and doves, and others sitting at tables exchanging money. So he made a whip out of cords and drove them all from the temple area, both sheep and cattle. He scattered the coins of the money changers and overturned their tables. To those who sold doves, he said, "Get out of here! How dare you turn my father's house into a market?"
I was right. You had the power right there in Jerusalem. You could have done it. I thought you were strong enough, but you backed off, walked out while everyone was still with you. You could have swept the lot away like you did the tables, but no, off you went back home, back to the comfort and ease of Bethany.
I was right, wasn't I?
I was right, wasn't I?
I was right, wasn't I?
We
were right,
right,
weren't we?
weren't we?
Strange, isn't it? When things go wrong, we blame others. Strange, isn't it? When you sin, we try and justify our actions. Strange, isn't it? When you're challenged to love, you find excuses. Strange, isn't it? When he calls you to follow him, give your life to him, we see that it's somebody else's job. It was self-interest, self-preservation, self-centeredness, self-importance. Those killed Jesus. Those crucified him. And they all said, I was right. I was right, wasn't I? I wonder, do we make excuses? Do we try and justify ourselves? We do. So on this night, let us repent and listen to him.
If anyone wants to come to me, they must forget their self, take up their cross, and follow me. Whoever wants to save his own life will lose it, but whoever loses his life for me and the gospel will save it.
Now you can clap.